So, guys, I'm so excited to have our next guest. She's literally the hottest dentist you have ever seen in your life, okay? She's going to blow your mind, and you're going to blow a load in your pants because she is beautiful and hot and smart, and she teaches dentists how to be rich, guys, okay? She's an amazing wife and mother, and she's just absolutely hilarious. I love meeting her in Vegas, and I continue to be grateful to be, like, plugged into her success and her thriving business and watch your amazing, beautiful kids grow. So welcome, Davina Detrik. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, and I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Woohoo! All right, so we were catching up a little bit. I'm asking myself this question every time I look at your like Instagram and like Facebook. So how is it possible for a dentist to be as hot as you? Like, why is the world so like unfair?
Well, I mean, it didn't. Here's the truth. You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
How this happened?
Yeah. Yes.
There was a boy in
Mm-hmm.
third grade that I had a massive crush on, and
Mm-hmm.
he did not notice me until I started doing his science homework.
What?
No,
What the hell?
this is really
What?
true. So this
Oh,
is how I got,
okay.
this is how like thank you to that person who didn't never
Mhm.
notice me, because I got good
Mhm.
at science. I got
Oh,
a good GPA, and hence became a dentist and went to dental school.
oh
But
my God.
it started off not because I was hot, but because I was trying to get attention from
Oh,
doing science homework for a boy I liked.
that's hilarious. Oh my God. Because now obviously you don't never have to worry about that. And your husband is a lucky man. So can you my second question is actually how did you get into dentistry? So like what was like the process for you to like I think it's been so long. So like in undergrad you declared dentistry or pre-med? I forgot
Yeah.
what the process is. Yeah, can you walk us through like the whole dental school thing?
Yeah, for sure. So I am an only child, and I grew up in a really rural town. 8,000
Mhm.
people is the population of
Wow.
the town that I'm from in New Mexico,
Wow.
and it's like it's not a rich town. Okay,
Mhm.
so there is like a very slim chance of getting out of it. So
Mhm.
how I got into dentistry was I was looking for like, what am I going to do? I knew I was going to go to college, and it was like, well, what
Mhm.
am I going to do?
Mhm.
And we had one dentist in the whole town, and he was
Mhm.
my dentist. And my mom and dad are like, well, why don't you go talk to him about what he does?
Mhm. Mm.
So I went, and him and his wife offered me a job, and I started
Yeah.
working there, and I fell in love with it. But it was also the thing that, right, like I didn't have a lot of examples of how the fuck am I going to get out of this town?
Right, right. Mhm.
And so that was really kind of like the spark that was like, oh, if I do this, then I
Mhm.
can get out, then I can have
Mm.
success, then I can kind of have a life different than anybody around me had. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
So that's how it happened. It was kind of like, this is the thing that's going to take me to the next level. And I
Mhm.
made that decision, and it was like blinders on, like, this is what I'm doing.
Wow, I love that. So, because you had a very different experience through dental school than most traditional students, I would say, who like just straight up went. Can you describe like what was it like going through dental school for you?
Yeah. So like I said, I was like, I am going to become a dentist. And that was even
Mhm.
a far reach considering
Mhm.
like where I came from. Like it was me and another person in my class that were the first
Mhm.
people in our entire town to ever go to professional school.
Mm. Wow,
Right.
that's incredible.
So, so when I got in, I was like, oh my God, this is like the thing I had been working for. And then,
Mm.
so I finally got accepted, and then I found out I was pregnant.
Mm. Okay. What
So
was going through your head at that moment?
I'm fucked. The moment in my head was like, you worked this hard, and then you went and totally ruined your life. Like, well done. You know what I mean? Like, there is that moment where you're like, what were you thinking?
Mm.
And so it was like, well, this is just what has to be done. So I
Mm.
deferred my entrance for a
Mm.
year, because
Uh-huh.
literally my son was born in December. So I would have
Oh.
my first year of dental school with a newborn baby. So I
Mm.
deferred for a year. And then
Mhm.
when I started dental school, my son was 9 months old. And so
Mhm.
my experience in dental school is very different, because I was like the old person, because I was married and with a kid, right? Like my
Mhm.
classmates were
Mhm.
like young and like
Mhm. Yeah,
no
clueless.
no
Yeah.
attachments, right? No
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
no husband.
Mhm.
And but I loved having a kid throughout dental school, because it
Mm.
brings the fuckery to a minimum.
Yeah. You're
You know
so
what I mean? like
yeah.
like there is something about having that kind of pressure that really is a privilege,
Mm,
because it narrows your focus of like what is important and what is not, and you just don't have
mm,
time to fuck
right.
around with things that are just
You're so right.
unimportant.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because now it makes sense, because my mom went to acupuncture school for a little bit and she told me all the straight A students were like single moms. And now it makes sense, because you
Mm.
guys cannot afford to like, so you're right, no room for error, and you guys prioritize so much. And I feel like a lot of the female entrepreneurs who are moms, like they're very strategic and very smart, and because they had to be. And because of that, they make way more money because they know what to do. And that's kind of like what you do for dentists, I feel. And like, what advice would you have for dentists who are like maybe first starting out their business, and probably maybe explain to our audience like what you do?
Okay. Yes. So I am a consultant and coach for dentists who want to do fee for service practice and who also have a vision about how they want to live their life, right? That the
Mm,
life and the lifestyle and the business can go hand in hand, and
mm,
and that the suffering is not necessary.
I love that. That's
So we teach them to build businesses that are actually based on what do you want to do? How do you want to live your life? What is going to light you up? What is like your soul calling for? And let's build a business from that. Not
mm,
let's build a business that crushes your soul in the process.
mm.
Why would you do that? You know?
I thought that's what we're here to suffer and die and pain, right? Anyways, so so like
Yeah. But isn't that the thing? Like people
that's
really
a Chinese way. That's a Chinese way to do it. We're supposed to suffer. Okay, there actually is a phrase in Chinese called "eat bitterness." It's like the more suffering you can endure, like the more respect you have. And obviously, this is more older generation, but this is
Mm.
literally in our culture. And like we basically like work till we get cancer and die. But that's a different story. Um, so you work with a lot of dentists, and like you've probably seen a lot of like different practices. So like what do you think are like the most common reasons why dentists struggle in their practice?
So I think probably one of actually the biggest reason that they struggle in their practice, and I think the biggest reason people struggle in general, is that
Mm-hmm.
they don't make a decision. The people that I
Mm-hmm.
see suffer the most are people who are indecisive,
Mm.
right? Like there's this piece
Yeah.
of like, what do you actually want? And notice I said, what do you actually want? I didn't say, what do you think you can have? What do you think your parents, family,
Mm.
friends are going to be okay with? Like, that's not the question.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that people pick goals based on what's possible or what is going to be okay with like the people
Mm.
in my life.
That's
And
so
when you
true. Mm-hmm.
right, like when you pick a goal like that, you don't have the fire to see it through the end because it's
Mm.
a half-ass limp dick goal anyway.
I love that.
Right? So it's like
Yeah, you're so right. Yes.
you're asking yourself to pursue like this goal, and you're asking yourself to bring the magic and the energy to get it over the finish line, but you
Mm-hmm.
picked something that you don't give a shit about anyways,
Yeah.
and then you turn it
Mm-hmm.
into a story of, well, maybe I'm just not meant to do X, Y, and Z, or maybe I'm a failure,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I'm a fuck up. And it's like none of that is true, but you
Mm-hmm.
never invested your energy into something that you actually cared about anyway.
Mm. That's so good. This is so deep. I love it. It touches my soul, even though I'm not a dentist. I feel like everyone can relate to that. So, what, how do you make a decision? Like, what is your decision making process on whether or not to do something?
Oh, okay. So that's the first thing that I ask myself. Is this something that I want to be, do, or have? Right?
Mm. Yes. Yes.
Very simple. Is this something that I want to be, do, or have? If the
Mm-hmm.
answer is yes, then the second
Mm-hmm.
question I ask myself is, am I willing,
Mm-hmm.
not can I, because that can I is a
Mm-hmm.
stupid question. I think can I is
Mm-hmm.
a stupid question. Am I willing is the actual question that
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask. Am I willing to do what it takes to be, do, or have this thing? And sometimes the answer is no, right? Like if the answer is,
Right.
well, I'm
Right.
actually not willing to do the work that it takes. Okay, well, now
Mm-hmm.
you have your answer. But I think that people really ask the wrong question, which is, can I? And it's like, well, of
Mm-hmm.
course you can, because you wouldn't have the idea if you didn't have the capability. The question you need to ask is,
Ah.
are you willing?
I love that. That's such a good, I'm taking notes right here. So, because because this is so good. Yeah. And you go through so many conferences, you go to so many big name like coaches, and it absolutely shows. I feel like you were meant to be a business coach. So like, what made you decide to go from like a dentist to like coaching dentists?
Yeah, so I've always been into personal development, right? Like even like as a kid, I'm like, that was like the whole thing that I was thinking about living in this small town. Like, how the fuck do I create the life that I want? Because I know that
Right.
this isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people around me didn't have answers because we were all kind of there together. So it was like, go to the library, read books, find stuff, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I became a dentist and I was like actually clinically practicing and it was killing my soul, I was
No.
like, I don't know how long I will live. And God forbid I live a long amount of time and I waste my life doing something that I don't want. I need to figure it out.
Right. Right.
So then it was just like hiring the people, finding the answers that I needed to find, and leading myself through my own shit journey so that I could help other people lead it. So lead themselves through it. You know what I mean? So becoming a coach was actually secondary. And it's so interesting because I'll hear people say like, oh, I really want to help people. And I'm like, that's great. And I appreciate your heart and I see your heart. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You need to lead your damn self first.
That's so good.
Right?
Thank you.
Like,
yeah, it's true.
We've got to stop saying that we're going to help other people when we are unwilling to help ourselves. So helping other people was only secondary to helping myself.
And I love your, because you did a TEDx talk while, okay guys, she did a TEDx talk while she was pregnant on selfishness. Okay, she's freaking amazing. And like, you have a personal philosophy on selfishness that I really like. Can you share with the audience on like what you feel like that means, like being because it's such a negative, I guess, word and normal people speak, but what's your take on selfishness?
Yeah. So Oscar Wilde has this quote that really redefined and reframed selfishness for me. And the quote is, selfishness is not living as one wishes to live. It's asking others to live as one wishes to live.
Man. That hits. Wow. Holy shit. I should have paid more attention to English class, but that's
right?
That's such good. Yeah. That's so good.
It's so good because I'm like, you're right. Having control over your own life and deciding how you want to live it and design it, why is that a bad thing? I think a bad thing is telling other people how they need to live. And I think society is full of that shit right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Everybody has an answer and they want to shove it down your throat. But I'm like, you do you.
Because yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And you're absolutely doing what you're doing because it's like, okay, so how do you balance doing so many things? Like you're married, you have 2 kids and working, like how do you like design your life?
So I guess the easiest answer to that is that I don't believe in balance for me personally. Like everything to me has to be one masterpiece, if that makes sense. So it's like,
yeah, can you explain?
Yeah, like my life is my life. It is like my creative statement. And so that includes all of the things, right? It includes my kids, it includes my business, it includes my husband. And so none of those things are separate to me because compartmentalizing for me personally doesn't work. And other people, I get that like makes sense for them. But for me, it's like, I may be on a client call while my kids are playing, while, I take a break from that and go do something with my husband. But it's like, everything has to work together because to me, it's all one thing. How am I living my life and how am I showing up for the people I care about?
That's awesome. I love that definition, how it works together. That's great. So, let's talk comedians. Okay. Besides me, who do you find funny, if that's even possible?
Oh my gosh.
You're hilarious too.
I love this question because you and I were talking a little bit beforehand and I told you the word is reverence for comedy and comedians. So it's like such a cool thing that we actually get to talk about this, but probably, I mean, there are other things besides my top 2, but my top 2 really are Seinfeld and Chris Rock.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
For personal reasons, like we talked about me coming from a small town, but Seinfeld was a thing for me growing up because I watched how they interacted as people living in a big city, right? They were in New York.
Yeah, they're in New York, yeah.
So for me, it was like this looking glass to like what happens in big cities and how do people talk to each other and like what's cool and like what do I need to know?
I love that. That makes sense. Yeah, because when I came to the US, I didn't know anything. I was watching TV. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different. So I totally get it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then Chris Rock, so my parents, when my parents had me, they were 18. So we kind of like grew up together, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
yeah, that does. Absolutely.
They weren't parental. They were like older siblings. So when I was 13, Chris Rock came out with Bring the Pain, which I got to watch. And then I also got to watch Bigger and Blacker when that came out. And I think I was like 16. And he was just saying the most radical things that I thought were so funny because I was the truth telling in it to me was like when you think weird shit yourself personally and somebody gets to come out and say it, you're like, oh, I'm not like a weird person. Like other people do weird shit too.
Yes, it's so cathartic. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, thank God somebody said it and not me. Yeah, I totally agree. I love it. And you only picked out the richest comedian, so I love that about you.
On Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, I died when he was like, one of the proudest moments is watching my black son have duck fat all over his face.
That's awesome. Oh my God. He's so amazing. Like, Jesus, that's a pinnacle of comedy. So like what's your favorite dentist joke or favorite situation that's happened to you in the dental office?
Oh my gosh, I have the stupidest dental joke, and because I like really lame like third grade jokes too.
Third grade jokes. They're the funniest.
So I have like two jokes that are my standard jokes when like I'm talking to patients, and my first joke is, why did the cell phone go to the dentist?
Why?
Because he had a Bluetooth.
That's funny.
Right?
I like that. Yeah. It's fun. I like puns. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And my second joke, my son told me this and I thought it was great. Why did Cinderella get kicked off the basketball team?
Why?
Because she ran away from the ball.
Wait. Oh, that's not a dentist. This is just like a...
No, it's just a regular joke.
Oh, good. Because I was like searching my head for like dental references.
No. It's just... Those are just my go-to jokes with patients.
I like it. Yeah, I like the Bluetooth one a lot. So like now that you're like doing coaching and stuff, like can you share with us like what kind of clients work with you and then like what kind of like successes they've gotten?
Yeah, so the clients that work with me primarily, and the clients that I like to work with are people who inspire me. So I'm not really looking to inspire you as much as I'm looking for you to have a vision that is like so fucking cool and you're excited about it. And then we can build that thing together. Like I get lit and then we get working on it. Right. So
love it. Yeah.
So some of the things like my clients have started businesses that are still in dentistry, but outside clinical practice. Another thing that we really work a lot on is sales, is teaching sales ninjas in a way that actually feels good to them, that like the patient and the dentist are like, it's the same way I just said it, I approach it, right? Like I teach my clients, okay, when you're selling something, it needs to be a win-win. Your patient needs to be like, I'm so excited to spend this money with you. Let's do the damn thing. I want a reinvention and you're the one that's going to help me get there. You know? So a lot of the results that my clients have are like crazy because they're people who want to build crazy out of the box things.
I love that. That's so amazing. So like, okay, let's do the flip side then. Who should not work with you?
The people who should not work with me are, if you're in the stage of still not knowing what you want, this is probably not the best place for you because, right? Like there are probably other places that you would go first. And when you know what you want and you know that you are willing to do whatever it takes to get there, you come here and I help you build it and I help you build it really quickly.
I love that. So can you walk us through like, because a lot of people don't even know what business coaching is. So like, can you walk us through like, what is it like working with you? What is like coaching what is coaching, I guess? Like what do they, like just walk us through like working with you.
Yeah. So basically, when I'm working with somebody, it's like, it's kind of like having my brain on loan,
Mm.
which is how do I think about things? How do I strategize things? How do I create boundaries? How do I create win-win situations? And it's working together in a partnership where it's like, let me plug in my software into your brain, right? Which would mean
Mm.
that you would get very similar results to what I'm getting. So it's walking them through that process. Like, how would you actually think about something differently? Because let's be
Mhm.
clear, you getting the results that you've gotten so far is a product of how you've thought up until this point. So
Yes.
if we can retrain how you're thinking about something, then it is
Mhm.
very natural and very easy to get different results in your same situation, right?
Mm.
So it's a
Mhm.
rearranging of how you're seeing shit in your world, and can we look at it from a different angle, and can you make a new decision from that place and then
Mhm.
get a different result?
I love that. Thanks for the explanation. It really helps a lot. So like, you have so many great mentors, and like I always see you go to different conferences and stuff, having a blast. So like, how do you select your mentors, and how do you advise other listeners to select their mentors?
Yeah, I love this question. So I would say how you want to pick a mentor is, does this person have something that you actually want?
Mm.
Not do they, right? Like, it's not,
Mhm.
do they say things that you like to hear?
Ah, that's such a good, yes, thank God. Yes, that's the best definition. Because I try to explain to people, but this is a better explanation. Thank you. Sorry, I just had to
Yeah,
interject.
no worries. But it's like, does this person have something that I want to be, like, be, do, or
Mhm.
have?
You do have. Mhm.
Right. And not in a fronting way. It's like,
Mhm.
one of my mentors that I'm currently working with has a way that he approaches life that
Mhm.
is ease and fun. And
Mhm.
that is something that I really wanted to have, because I'm more of a hustle grind,
Mhm.
not an ease and fun.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yeah, I get it. Mhm.
I went to him with the intention of, how do I integrate that into what I'm already doing? So
Mm.
I think when you're choosing a mentor, you need to be clear on what your next step is. And from that place, ask who can get you there.
Mm. I love that. You just make things so easy and simple. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So, okay, let's switch gears a little bit. I'm divorced now, so it's as a free for all. And I just want to know, how would you advise people to look for in a spouse?
Yeah, so I think knowing yourself is like the first thing, and that's kind of like a cliched answer, right? But
Hmm.
it's like,
But
well,
it's
what
true.
do
It's true. Hmm.
it's like, well, what do you need? Do you want somebody, you're like, okay, I'm a person, if you know yourself, you're like, I need autonomy. Or you could be like, I need somebody to fucking worship me. That's what I
Hmm.
need,
Hmm.
right? Or it could be like,
Hmm.
I need somebody who can provide and who is financially on the rise because I need them to do X, Y, and Z. And so I
Hmm.
think the piece is, you have to know yourself so that
Hmm.
you know what to ask for out of a potential
Mm.
partner.
I love that. That's so great. So, how did you know when your husband was the one?
I did, and I still think he is one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. And I am a person that I need a lot to keep my interest,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I'm kind of I'm
Mm-hmm.
one of those people that's like always on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And he changes so quickly. He's very growth minded.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's like a new person every day. So
Oh, wow.
when I
Okay.
knew he was the one is
Mm-hmm.
when I was like, I can talk to you and continue talking to you, and you don't bore me. You're interesting
Mm.
because you have interests.
Ah, I love that. That is so perfect. Maybe I need to hire you to fix my relationships. I love that. Okay. So next question, which is kind of why I started the podcast episode. How can I marry a very old and very ugly and very fat and rich dentist who will stay with me forever?
Well, here's the question: why do you want an old and fat and ugly one? The rich I
Because
understand, but what about
because
the other thing?
okay, because it's pluses and minuses, right? So it's just like, because okay, the hilarious thing is, a dentist I interviewed before you, he's like pretty good looking, uh Asian dentist. Like, I just said it as a joke, right? Ladies, he's single. I told him the podcast would bring in the pee, and I just released it, like, and then like all the comments were about how awesome he is. And then one girl messaged me to say, hey, Lee, can you connect me with that dentist? And I was like, sure. So he got way more attention than I did, right? So this is why I need like a Jabba the Hutt dentist. So I know he's like, oh, this is the best I can do. So
okay, so you want somebody that like when like you and your fat old ugly rich man, like they see you as a couple and they're like, oh, she's clearly the star. Like there's no
exactly, because my ego can't take it, right? It's like, you're already a dentist, you're already rich, you can't have more things. It's not fair, you know. So it's like an equalizer for me. The fat, the old, and the ugly is like, it's like a fair trade, I think.
Okay, so here would be my like this is like a legit answer though. I'm like, you know what? If you really wanted somebody like that and you wanted to be married to them forever, then you be a good receiver. Like if that old fat ugly man has something that he wants to give, and it could be like tips on crypto. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like whatever the fuck he's interested in and wants to talk about. You'll listen and you're like, this is the most fascinating thing ever. And I think that you're so brilliant because you tell me X, Y, and Z. Somebody who's old, fat, and ugly and rich, you play to the ego and also the side that no one sees about them, right? Like, oh, you have all this money, but oh my gosh, you're probably very creative and very artistic. It's like, oh my God, you've never seen that way before. And you seduce from the angle that no one has ever seen.
I love this. This is amazing. Holy shit. This is incredible.
You seduce the dark side, girl. You gotta be the one person who sees the thing that they've always wanted somebody to see, but they don't show that. You gotta find that and you've gotta pet it like a kitten.
I love it. I'm taking notes, Davina. I'm taking all the notes. So okay, this leads me to the next question, because like you guys are a dentist couple. So like what is it like working as a dentistry couple, and then like what advice you have for other dentist couples and working together?
I would say that now working with my husband is super, like it's a well-oiled machine. But in the beginning, I would notice that as we would run into conflict or challenges and we were dealing with that, it would reflect in the business, right? So it would be like, oh, okay, there's a conflict that we're having, and then the business is on halt because we're trying to figure that out. And so I would say that if you're a dentist couple working together, get yourself a relationship coach, preemptively figure that shit out so that you can work like a well-oiled machine.
Wow.
When that stops, the business suffers, and then you have a new problem on your hands, which is a cash crunch, which doesn't fucking help marriage either. Right?
Yeah.
So I would just be like, learn on the job. I would be like, get some expert help to lead you through that shit and shorten the timeline.
Awesome. Wow, this is so much good stuff. So like, can you tell us about your TEDx talk? Like what, because okay, we were in the same mastermind together, and then I think it's just like you moving so fast, getting TEDx talk, getting everything together, and you were just amazing. So like, what advice, or how was it like doing a TEDx talk, and what advice do you have for people who want to do it also?
Okay, so this is I don't know if I've ever told anybody this besides like people who are in my like, you know, like my immediate friends or whatever, but I had signed up to do the TEDx talk because because I didn't have any attachment to getting it. Meaning that I didn't actually think that I would get it because it seemed kind of like outrageous at the time anyways. And so because I went in with it from a place of unattachment, I actually said really true things. Like in my interview tape when I sent it in. So so I'm talking about selfishness, and I'm talking about do shit before you're ready because you feel called to do it. Right? So I love that. And I was talking about like, you don't always have to be perfectly put together to be able to take the next step.
I love that.
As I was sending in my interview tape, I wanted to be the best version of myself because I wanted them to choose me and like me and be in love with me. So I did an at-home chemical pill on my face so I would look fresh for the video. Well, Well, I burnt my whole face like
Oh my God. Oh
like,
my God.
like my face melted off.
Oh
I
my God.
looked like a snake. It was awful. And it was deadline. So I had to send in my tape with that skin. And when
Wow.
I sent in my tape, I was like, look, I didn't want to send this in because this isn't my best polished self.
Right.
And I also know that I'm giving a talk on do the thing before you're ready to do the thing. So it's up to you with oozing skin that's falling off my face. And here I am, and this is my message for the people. And then
I love that.
And then it like worked, right? So
I love it. Yeah.
So I guess I would say my advice for that is like anybody who wants to do a TEDx talk, like let me hear what it is that you want the people to know and stop being so worried about what you actually look like. Like give me truth, give me authenticity. Don't give me bullshit, blow sunshine up my ass quotes that you think are going to help me. Like let me connect to you, let me feel you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Because, okay, people, go watch your TEDx talk, okay? It's freaking amazing. You're like Ali Wong before she, like, I think Ali Wong stole her idea from you. Like, what? Getting pregnant and then go on stage and do a speech? Ali Wong, you stole it from Davina, okay? Like, what the hell?
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, but her talk is really amazing. So, before we find out how to stalk you and check out your business and work with you, what overall advice would you have for everyone listening?
I think probably my biggest advice, it's the thing that I talk about the most, is make a decision. Like don't stay in indecision and don't commit to things that don't actually light you up. Like if you're going to go for it, then put everything that you have into going for it, whatever that is. But know yourself and make a decision. Like those are cliched things, but I just see so many people in indecision and it's so.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it just got cut off a little bit. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I said I just see so many people in indecision and it's so painful.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for clarifying that. And then how can we stalk you? And then what's your next project that you're working on and how can we follow you?
The best place to stalk me is on Instagram. Our handle is The Thrive Dentists. And that's also our website is thethrivedentist.com. So you can find us and connect with us there. We love to get DMs. I'd love to hear from anybody. I'm such a people person, so please reach out and give me feedback on whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to say to me. I'm here for it.
Awesome.
My next project is I'm actually speaking at a conference in Scottsdale this weekend, and it's on selfishness again.
I love it. Love it. That's great. Awesome. So thank you so much, Davina. Oh my God, you gave me some great advice. I'm gonna use. I don't care about the listeners what they do because I got some awesome advice. So that's enough. So thank you so much again, guys. Visit her site, follow her. She's amazing. Thank you so much for being on here again, and look forward to having you on more episodes.
Thank you so much. It's been so fun.
Awesome. Same here.